some interesting position battles or guys that have emerged. Let's start on the defensive side with a number of premier edge rushers coming through this program in the last few years. There's been a lot of concern about who the next guy is going to be, and maybe the defensive staff has found him.
Absolutely. And I guess that name has to start with Nyjalik Kelly. Now, for me, I had an entire opening segment on this, Mark, because what's happening is you got shows, ESPN's writing articles about him, 247's writing articles about him. People are opening shows talking about, keep an eye out for Nyjalik Kelly, edge rusher out of Miami. Even today, Coach Cristobal was asked about him and had a nice, extensive answer, one of the longest answers I've seen him give about a specific player, about how hard they were recruiting him to make it all the way out to Oregon. And Nyjalik, on his commitment, they said, I was going to Oregon if it was down to Miami and Oregon. I was going to go to Oregon because of how much I've seen with Coach Cristobal and his staff, Coach Joe Salaville, who Coach Kayvon Thibodeau, who went on to be a top 10 pick, in the NFL draft. When you get after the quarterback, it really changes things, not only for the defense, but for your team. In the recent Miami Hurricanes history, you go back to 2017, a defensive line that got after it. The 2 sacks from Kendrick Norton, but he had 10 TFLs. You have 2.5 sacks from R.J. McIntosh, but he had 13 TFLs. The next season, Gerald Willis, 3 sacks, but he had 18 TFLs. And that's interior pressure. Off the edge, you had Chad Thomas with 6 sacks. You had Trent Harris, who just made my Baltimore Ravens official roster, a 53-man roster. He had 8.5 sacks. John Garvin with 4.5 sacks. Demetrius Jackson with 1.5 sacks. Okay, Joe Jackson had 4.5. Getting after the quarterback, being able to influence the passing is big. All right, the game has truly turned into 7-on-7. Can you throw the football? Can you catch the football? Can you cover the guys trying to catch the football? Can you block for the people who's trying to throw the football? And can you rush the throw up front? Now, recently, Miami has had to do that with blitzing the last season. But you go back to 2020, we were able to get after the quarterback with Jalen Phillips and Quincy Roche. Those two alone had 20 sacks between the two. Okay, they were able to get after the freaking quarterback. Okay, the year before that, in 2008 with 18, you had John Garvin and Gerald Willis up the gut who were able to get after the quarterback. And, this back and forth, we were able to affect the quarterback. Now, a lot of people have gotten to the point where you blitz. If you can't get it done with down 4 or 3 down, you blitz. But now the quarterback understands, hey, if you show your hand, I know where to go with the football. I know the hot route. I know the now route, and just get the ball out. So you have to be able to really get to the quarterback with your 4-down traditional lineman. Okay, that's how the best way to be able to keep the other people in coverage, your linebackers, your safeties, and your corners, to be able to get them back and in coverage. You have to be able to get after the quarterback up front with the 4. And Nyjalik has been turning heads, flying off the edge. And the only thing I say, Mark, is I'm happy for him. I want this to be a reality. I want him to be able to get after the quarterback. Now, when it comes to people that cover the University of Miami, the people that look at the University of Miami and critique us, don't now throw some unwanted pressure on the young man. You can have the hype, but allow him to go out there and prove it to you. Don't turn around now at the end of the season and say he only gets 5 or 6 sacks and say, that's not freshman All-American worthy. Well, he didn't come out and say he was a freshman All-American. You did. That's not his fault that you decided to throw all this unwanted pressure on him and create your own narrative to then either turn around and say that I was right about him or turn around and say that he's not good. So I like to allow the young man to go out there and show me. Give me a baseline. Show me what you can do. Now, let's say you go to the first 3 or 4 games and you're going crazy, and then we don't hear from you again until week 10. Then I feel like there's rounds to attack or critique or think that he's not living up to a standard. But to go based off what's just happening on Green Tree practice field and think he's a freshman All-American, I personally think that's unwanted and unfair pressure to put on a freshman. But again, at the end of the day, if he wants to be a pro, and if he truly is a top 10 in his position in the world, like in the country, like he was coming out of high school, he has to get used to this pressure. So I see both sides of the argument. And I think he will live up to his own expectations, and him and his team will go out there and play hard. But not just Nyjalik Kelly coming off of the edge. Turning heads is UCLA transfer Mitchell Agude. Now, Mitchell Agude never really surpassed, I think he only had 3 or 4 sacks each season at UCLA. But he happened to be playing 4-eye technique, which is inside shade of the tackle. He was also playing a little 3 technique. Like he was more of a 3-4 hand in the dirt down lineman. Now he gets a chance to come to the University of Miami in our multiple scheme, where we have guys that are bigger and stronger, to where he doesn't have to do that. Because his own words today was, I'm used to being the biggest and strongest on the defensive line, so I had to play multiple positions to help stop the run. Well, here he can earn the ability to rush the passer based on what he does on first and second downs coming off of the edge on the weak side for Miami. It's his first time in his career where he gets to be a primary edge rusher off of the weak side, where he could just get after the ball and get after the quarterback on key passing downs. The key to the University of Miami's success, Mark, and the key to success in college football has shown. Show me who has one of the best, if not the best, offensive line. Show me who has one of, if not the best, defensive line. And, of course, your receivers and your quarterback and that nature. But usually, if you have one of those two, if not both of them, you're in conversation for a championship. I'm not saying Miami is in that conversation just yet. But if that has shown to be the reason why Miami is in the conversation for an ACC championship, and because you could say the last time we had the best D-line in our conference, we made the ACC championship game. Now we ran into Clemson, which is a better program, but that's what it is. If you have the best offensive line and defensive line, you are usually in conversation for championship football.